Well, it is underway once again. House Republicans are desperately attempting to figure out who the heck is going to lead their party in the wake of Kevin McCarthy's ouster. And that comes in the form of the speakership battle that is playing out right now. And yesterday, we have lots to go through on this, lots of interesting developments. The first is being that yesterday, Republicans did nominate Steve Scalise behind closed doors in a vote between Steve Scalise and Jim Jordan. 113 to Scalise, 99 to Jim Jordan. And that's notable for one big reason, being that Republicans went in a different direction than that of Trump's ambition. Trump, of course, endorsed Jim Jordan, and so Scalise won over despite that fact, which is always good to see. Republicans choosing not the choices of Trump, even though Scalise is also a really bad option. But I warned you at the beginning, way back when, any of the options are going to be bad. And so what we'll have to see here to actually get to the speakership vote and get to an actual speaker being selected is for Scalise to win over enough of the 99, essentially all of the 99, so that he can get to 217 as the House currently stands of the members, which would be a majority as of now. And he is far from that. 113 is where he's starting, trying to make up that ground, and we'll see how it goes. If he can't do it, then maybe there's another shakeup and someone else is unified around. But here's this from CNN. House Republicans voted behind closed doors to select Representative Steve Scalise of Louisiana as their nominee for Speaker. But it's unclear if he can lock down the votes needed to win the gavel following Kevin McCarthy's abrupt ouster. The final vote tally for the nomination was 113 for Scalise, who currently serves as the House Majority Leader, and 99 for GOP Representative Jim Jordan, which means Scalise fell below the threshold needed to win the speakership in a full vote on the House floor that requires a majority of the chamber, which is currently 217 votes. And it seemed like, as this article notes, that a vote could have taken place today. That's not going to happen. It's likely going to be tomorrow. Another bit of reporting in relation to this that is interesting. The New York Times has this. Mr. McCarthy and his allies have quietly been encouraging members to back Mr. Jordan over Mr. Scalise, with whom Mr. McCarthy has an icy relationship. Mr. McCarthy's rivalry with Mr. Scalise goes back years, and at this point is the stuff of lore on Capitol Hill. At key moments over the past few months, Mr. McCarthy boxed Mr. Scalise out of decision-making, describing him to colleagues as ineffective, checked out, and reluctant to take positions. So McCarthy, apparently, is supporting what is perceived to be the more radical candidate because of the endorsement of Trump and Jim Jordan's pass, even though Scalise also voted to prevent the certification of Biden's election and also has all these bad stances. But Jim Jordan was seen to be the more MAGA candidate. But McCarthy, even though a really MAGA individual like Matt Gaetz is responsible for his ouster because of his beef with Scalise, is actually attempting to get Jordan more support. So a lot happening there. Again, we'll continue to see if Scalise ends up being the person they can unify around in terms of 217 votes. Then you have, as she was coming out of this closed door meeting, Nancy Mace, who just plays all these different characters and is very dishonest in the different, characters she plays in different spaces and in different places. So CNN, she'll act one way and pretend to be moderate, and then hop over to Fox News and be super outrageous, and tries to walk that fence. And so here, she had her latest stunt on full display.
I'm wearing the scarlet letter after the week that I just had last week, being a woman up here and being demonized for my vote and for my voice. I'm here to let the rest of the world know and the country know I'm on the side of the people. I'm not on the side of the establishment, and I'm going to do the right thing every single time, no matter the consequences, because I don't answer to anybody in D.C. I don't answer to anyone in Washington. I only answer to the people. Thank you. I'm wearing the scarlet.
So, and having some earpiece issues there. Okay, all situated. So I saw a lot of people saying that the A stands for attention on her shirt. Fantastic. She really bothers me a lot because of the attempt on her part to take credibility she earns for being moderate when she does those appearances, saying more reasonable things on abortion rights, for example, saying her party is alienating women, and then uses that credibility to lend more credibility to the outrageous things being said on other networks and say, I'm the moderate, and even I think the Biden family is a crime family, or whatever it might be. And it's really obvious, even when she talks about the same subject in different places, very different tone and wording being used. And so now I guess she's afraid of being rejected by the hardcore part of her party that now has so much power. And so she shifted even more aggressively in a radical direction and has aligned herself a lot with Matt Gaetz recently voting to oust Kevin McCarthy. And so in that moment, she's saying because of that vote to oust Kevin McCarthy, she's been targeted and treated so poorly by the establishment. Now I'm fighting back against the establishment. And then you have Ken Buck saying something so correct. He is a super conservative Republican, but has gotten in the habit of saying reasonable things from time to time and calling out his own party in some interesting moments. And here he points out that for the American people to see our party as credible on all these other issues and trust who's leading our party, we need to get rid of this election denying. And right now we're seeing two candidates, Jim Jordan and Scalise, now Scalise getting nominated, who both, the only two options, were both people who voted to block the certification of Biden's election, meaning they were not just rhetorically pushing the big lie, but also acting accordingly based on those lies about the election. And Ken Buck says that's something the party needs to get rid of.
Well, both Jim Jordan and Steve Scalise voted to decertify the electors. I don't know that it's going to be a very big factor at all. I think the factor, George, is that we continue to perpetuate a lie about the 2020 election being stolen, that we talk about the January 6th events as an unguided tour of the Capitol, that we are pretending that the people who assaulted police officers and destroyed federal government property are political prisoners. That hurts our ability and credibility to move forward with the American people and tell the American people that we have a serious issue with spending. We, as Republicans, can do a better job securing our border. We know how to deal with inflation. We can deal with the crime issue in our cities. That's the problem I think we have when we continue to perpetuate the myths that we're perpetuating.
So it's interesting because Ken Buck and I would be really far on policy and would try to approach different issues very, very differently. And would get into heated debates about how we address different issues that he listed there. What would be the best way to go about that? But he's exactly right. The Republican Party increasingly doesn't have credibility with so many Americans on those issues because of their detached from reality views on the election, January 6th, and Trump trying to overthrow the election, and Trump being politically persecuted and all this nonsense. And so as long as they show themselves to be so unserious on subjects such as those, people are going to assume they're probably unserious about these other things they're talking about. And for someone like Ken Buck, who I think genuinely really wants to, for example, cut spending, and like I said, me and him would battle it out on spending because likely he would want to cut spending to places that I think are super valuable. He is annoyed by the fact that no one cares about Republicans saying that we need to cut spending because they're so unserious in every way. Not to mention, separate from what he brought up being the election lies in January 6th and that destroying their credibility, also their record on the very fiscal responsibility they say they care about is awful and worse than the Democratic Party when thinking about debt and deficit in modern American history. And so they're hypocritical on that, and they're just not credible because of the aggressive leaning into of lies that they've gotten so used to doing. So good point there from Ken Buck, and that kind of gives you a sense of where things stand on the battle for Speaker. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to be a part of what makes this show possible, plus get access to the full video version of the show and the bonus show on the weekends, you can do so by going to lukebeasleyshow.com/membership. That's lukebeasleyshow.com/membership. And there's a link in the description.